The uniqueness of Calvin has to do with his masterful ability to synthesize, take in from every direction and put it all together in a coherent whole. One of the things that surprised me as a very young Calvinist when I first came to this in the late '80s was, for example, I'd read Martin Luther. When I read Martin Luther's Bondage to the Will, Martin Luther's more Calvinistic than Calvin is. Martin Luther is more out there, with extreme statements, inflammatory statements on the sovereignty of God. Calvin's much more judicious and balanced. He'll say the hard things, but it's always contextualized, always very carefully thought out. And that's not to take away from reading Luther. That was a lot of fun. Luther's a lot of fun, but I always have the feeling that Luther's a little more irresponsible than Calvin. Calvin's always responsible, balanced, judicious, and steeped in the early church fathers, knows church history, knows the scriptures backwards and forwards. And in this respect, Owen Barfield said this about C.S. Lewis, and I think it very much applies to Calvin also, and that is, what he thought about everything was contained in what he said about anything. So what he thought about everything was present in what he said about anything, and that's what I think is very striking about Calvin.